It's a lot of fun doing this show, and you get to talk to some really interesting and great people. And we've had athletes, musicians, scholars. Tonight we're having a clown, and every once in a while we get a really lovely and talented lady. What she's doing here, I have absolutely no idea, but yet I am so blessed to have her. Joy E. Morris, a television personality, an author, a star of music videos, and someone with a lot of energy and a lot of promise, and someone whom I really would like to meet, and I think you guys would too. Joy, how are you this evening?
I'm well. Yourself?
Fine, thank you. And I understand that you are a television host. You do acting. You do red carpet reporting. How did you get started in this career of entertainment?
I actually started off when I was scouted as a teenager in high school, and I had a scout come to my school, and they were going nationwide to find 10 representatives to represent the retail company J.C. Penney's, and I ended up getting that one-year contract, and I represented the entire chain, and from there it was like the doors opened up to the point. I did a little stint for 17 magazine, and then I started to do covers of magazines, and then it went into acting, and then into hosting, and that's kind of how I got started.
I understand. Is this something when you were younger? I mean, you're obviously a young lady, but when you were younger, or when you were a child, was this something that you always aspired to do, or did you just kind of find yourself doing it?
I believe I just kind of found myself doing it because even though I enjoyed, watching the different roles on TV and the different actors and actresses, and always said, "Oh, I'd love to do that," it was never something that drove me and actually made me want to go in that direction. And after I did the J.C. Penney stint, I loved it. I guess you'd say I got the bug.
I understand. Now, is it hard? I mean, we pick up these magazines and they're beautifully done with the color and the beautiful clothes and the very nice looking people, male and female, and we look and we roll our eyes and say, doesn't that look great? I only wish I could look so well wearing something like that. But I can imagine modeling, you would think, is an easy thing to do if you haven't done it. I would think that for those that have done it, it's really not an easy thing to do at all.
It is the most complicated thing to do because you've got to think when you're modeling, you have to be on point at all times, and that includes your weight, that includes what you wear, down to your makeup, your hair, down to everything. And in this business, it's hard to, especially in the beginning, to make a great deal of money. So it's something that comes out of your pocket in the beginning, and you feel like all you're doing is spinning your wheels. But the more that you keep at it, the more that you see the doors open up. And so it is an incredibly hard thing to do. And I will say that a lot of magazines, and just about the majority of them, will airbrush in some way or shape, form, or fashion. But I think there's only like maybe one, maybe two out there that won't. But yeah, I mean, what you see is what you get. I mean, they might tweak a little, here and there, but what you see is exactly what it is.
I understand. Now, how exactly did you get to acting from modeling?
I know, it's crazy. When I was modeling, I would meet people on the, after I got off the runway, and I would meet different people. And one producer in particular who had done independent films at the time said, "Hey, I would love for you to be in a movie that I've created." And I said, "Oh yeah, I would love to look at it and talk to you a little bit more." Well, in the midst of me looking at the script, I was contacted by a guy by the name of Casey Fallon. He did a music video called Hollywood, and Ethan Prochnick, who is, I hope I'm telling you all this right, he is one of the main people on Deadliest Catch. He was the producer-director of this video, and that is what opened up other doors. So I flew to Los Angeles. I was the main girl of the video, and from there it just kind of took off. We got an award at the New Music Awards, and just from there it just kind of opened up, and it was one of the best things I think that could have happened because modeling, it'll take you to about the age of 24, and after that it's kind of a done deal unless you've already really, unless you've been really successful.
And as far as modeling, now I'm going to date myself. There were two game shows with which I was a big fan of. One was I guess during the day it was the $10,000 pyramid with Dick Clark. It became the $25,000 pyramid at night. And I love the pyramid. And I know you're looking and say, how old am I? The other one was Let's Make a Deal with Monty Hall. And what was striking to me in Let's Make a Deal, there was Carol Merrill, but she wasn't Carol Merrill. She was the lovely and beautiful Miss Carol Merrill, who was probably the most statuesque and graceful creature that would just somehow glide between door number 1, door number 2, and door number 3 like a ballerina and be perfectly timed and would time the point to the door perfectly and made it look so easy. And I thought of that years later and I said, man, that's got to be anything but easy. The timing has got to be so precise.
For sure. I mean, anything you do in this business takes honing your craft and really learning it. And I have had the fortunate experience of teaching myself or self-teaching myself just about everything in this business. But I will tell you, at the age of 18, when I graduated from high school, I was working several different jobs, and I took the extra money, and I said, I'm going to fly to Hollywood. I'm going to figure it out, meet people, and just basically hit the ground running and just, pound the pavement until I get my name out there, until I get known, or until I can get more work. And that's exactly what I did. I flew to L.A., and I did not have a hotel, did not know a soul. And I just started just going door to door on, the different production houses and the different agents and things like that. And it really opened up a lot of doors doing that as well. And a lot of people, say, oh, well, you need to relocate in order to do anything. Well, in today's time, acting is all over. East Coast, West Coast, it's everywhere. So you really don't have to relocate. But I would say you have to be open to at least traveling.
Yeah, for certain. Now, you've also done red carpet reporting. How did that come about?
That's the main thing I do now. The red carpet reporting came about from just, hosting different shows. And one of the shows, it was a pre-Grammy show, and one of the producers over it came to me and said, hey, what would you think about, hosting a red carpet? I said, I would love to. It's got to be somewhat like the show. Well, it's nothing like the show. And I guess a lot of people say that I'm a natural at it, which, like I said, it's self-taught. But I don't know, I just took it. I loved it. I enjoyed meeting new people. I enjoyed asking them questions about their careers. And, from there, it's just like I got asked one after another, can you host this red carpet? Can you do this movie premiere? And I just loved it so much, I just continued doing it.
I understand. That's really great. Oftentimes you see the red carpet reporter being, kind of put on the spot to ask these, probing questions or just questions about something taking place. And are you making those up as you go along, or are you prompted to say what to ask?
I will say that the majority of it is something that I do my homework on. I make sure that whoever, I get a rundown list of everyone that I will be coming in contact with. And I pretty much do my homework, a couple of nights before and the night before, just to make sure that I'm up on my facts and my dates, because the last thing you want to do is make a fool out of yourself and ask something that has no relation to that person.
For sure.
So that is definitely something I did. And then from there, I ended up, just asking just questions that I would, want to know. And I started thinking, what would everybody else out there really want to know about this certain person? And that just kind of led me into saying, I'll just ask some of the tough questions without coming across like some people do and, very forceful and rude.
Yeah, curiosity can take you a lot of places.
I'm sorry?
A healthy sense of curiosity can take you a lot of places in an interview.
It really can, and that's what actually opened me up to creating the show that I just created called Celebrity and Me.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, it's a show, and it's a little bit about all celebrities, and not just any celebrity. It's about any kind of celebrity in the entertainment world. So that can be anywhere from a music producer to a director to a singer to you name it. And I just said, I'm tired of seeing all these interviews being done by these different celebrities, and the media will take it and they will cut it and they will clip it together however they feel will bring the most drama to their show. And even though, that's great and wonderful, the worst part of that was a lot of the celebrities become closed off and they no longer want to do interviews for you unless you pay really big bucks. And I got to a point where I was like, I want to offer them something so different. I want them, because I have total creative control over this, even though it was greenlit by a new network. I said, I want to put all this together, and I want to showcase the realness of them, from their home life to outside to their success and how they got there, and just basically the questions that any other person out there, just a normal person, would want to know. And it opened up the doors for me by doing it this way and not editing it however I felt the need to do so. And from there, I would let them see the finalized product before I submitted it to the network. And that just continued to open doors for me. And so we have shot our 5th episode, I believe, and working on the 6th one right now. And it's done well so far.
And where is this playing?
Right now it's on BAMP Media, and you can go to the app and you can get it, and then it's on demand. So, and also online, of course. So you can just click on BAMPmedia.com, and it's got all different kinds of shows on there. So mine is one of the, from what I understand, mine's one of the only ones that is about celebrities and interviews and red carpet kind of things.
And are you doing this mostly in the state of California?
I go all over. I just shot in New York. I shot one in Kentucky, one in Tennessee, one in Alabama, one in Atlanta, and I go to California in about a week. And then I will fly back to New York, and it just continues like that. So that's kind of what it's been. Whoever, we research and we like and we get the okay to come to, that's kind of what we do. Me, my team, we just go there, shoot it, edit it, let them see it, and it's a done deal.
Boy, that's great. I mean, I'm going to do a good job at dating myself tonight. There was, and this is probably before my time. I mean, I was familiar. It was before my time, but the great CBS journalists of the past, one of whom was Edward R. Murrow. He would do a show called Person to Person, where he would interview somebody at their home, and America would get to see inside the house of, say, Jackie Robinson or Richard Nixon.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, and he had a very sort of a very almost kind of fatherly way of making them and the person watching feel at home as if they were sitting in Jackie Robinson's home. And I think it's a lost art. I mean, I think so much of the interviewing today is, here's your 10 questions and a microphone in front of your face, go. And your typical interviewer, if I may say,
you're exactly right.
Doesn't have the sensitivity, can't pick up on a cue and take something the way that his subject would like to go. And no, I really do applaud you for what you're doing. It sounds like a great endeavor. I do understand in reading your information that you had a couple of experiences along the way that shaped you and defined you. Can you tell us about them?
I did. One in particular was my father's plane crash. He had a crash. He had went up in a Cessna airplane. He had just bought it, and him and my grandfather were in the plane. And even though they had checked all the gauges, when they got up, the gas tank said it was full, but as they went up, it went straight down to empty. So my grandfather, being in the Navy and knowing how to do emergency landing, said, let me take over, let me do this. And if it wouldn't have been for him, they would have both been dead. But as they were coming down, they saw, they did S-turns to slow it down, and as they were coming down, they saw children on one road, so they had to go to the next road. And 3 more feet, they would have made it, but the power line caught the wing of the plane, and it spun it into a home. And instead of my grandfather going straight in, he bellied it. And my dad actually had died, and they revived him on the lifesaver, because at that time is when you had physicians on the lifesaver. My dad was in the hospital. He was in ICU 6 months, hospital 6 months, and rehab a year. And so me and my sisters had to learn how to raise ourselves. And my mom was taking care of my dad 2 hours away in the hospital. So that is what really kind of shaped me and molded me and said, I watched my father have all these businesses and do all this stuff, and I said, you know what, if he can do it, I can do it. And so that's kind of been my driving factor and my force behind it all, to say, he made all this happen for all of us, so why couldn't I? I mean, I've got his genes, why couldn't I? So that was one of the main ones.
And how old were you when this happened?
I was actually 13 years old, and directly after that happening, I had my two little girl cousins who were 5 and 9 years old, who were killed in a boat wreck by two boys who were drinking and from what we understand, doing drugs. And one of them one of my cousins was face down in the water dead, and my other cousin was brain dead, and so they ended up having to actually pull the plug on her. And so instead of us just sitting around and just constantly mourning and grieving, we decided to do something about it. And so we went out and we passed a law, because it was in the state of Alabama where I'm born and raised. We passed a law that stated from this point forward there has to be a lot of, a lot of police on the water, and people need to have a license to operate a vessel. And so that's kind of what...
Good for you.
And that also shaped me.
And to have those experiences as a very young lady and to build off of them is, I can only hope that others can look at that and draw from inspiration from what you have done.
That's what I tell a lot of people is, don't ever give up just because it gets tough. Don't stop, because you will one day look back and you will always have the what if. You will always kick yourself and say, I could have, or what if I would have made it? Well, you'll never know because you gave up the ship too soon. And in this business where you get a lot of no's, and I mean a lot of no's, you will get those yeses. You just have to stick with it. You just have to keep moving forward. And if that means working 2 or 3 jobs to make that happen, that's what you do. But I also tell people to have a backup. One of the things I did as I was trying to make it in this career is I went to college, and I paid my own way through nursing school. So I had that as my backup. And that is the smartest thing you can do, because this business is limited, and this business is something that you can't guarantee you're going to have an ongoing paycheck. Even A-list celebrities can't guarantee that. So
yeah, you become yesterday's news. Yeah, no, that's for certain. And I often think of that story of Joan Collins, the great British actress, before she became Alexis Carrington on Dynasty, was in maybe a number of horrible grade C horror movies in the 70s, like second features at the drive-in. And there was one time she was on the unemployment line in Los Angeles with her dark glasses and a kerchief, hoping nobody recognized her. Sure enough, people did. And it's like, you're Joan Collins. What are you doing in the unemployment line? She's like, I have to eat just like you do. And it's...
Yes, that's exactly correct. And that's the misconception in this business is, well, you've already made a name for yourself. You've already done this, so why are you having a tough time? Because, it's a young person's world to some degree in this business, but it's also something to where just because you were on this one movie, it might, clash with another one or compete with another one, so you can't be cast in this one. So you end up not getting steady work, and it's a tough thing.
Yeah, and my friend, my dear friend, longtime character actor, and inspirational role model for me, Michael Dante, son of my hometown, would say many times you're sitting around waiting for the phone to ring.
You are. That's exactly right. Hurry up, wait. Hurry up and wait.
Yeah,
every time. For
certain. And do you have any, out of all the actors and actresses that you've seen, any favorites that you like and you really kind of model yourself against?
I would say Blake Lively is one of my favorites, and Gabriel Union is another one of my favorites.
Yeah, you kind of come to a younger generation. I might say Gregory Peck or something like that, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, yes. I will say also, Anthony Hopkins is someone that I love his acting method. I love everything about how he prepares. And I worked on a set with Vin Diesel for Fast and Furious 7, and he also had such a great method of how he prepared to get on, get on set and to rehearse his lines and to be ready when, that shot comes up and everything. And not only that, but the one thing I liked about him is he was so humble. Like, he would come in and not only, where we were sitting, but where the extras was sitting. I watched him walk into another room where all the extras was and say, I want to thank each and every one of you personally, because without you, this film would not be done. And if it wasn't
That's
you
great.
being here and your time and you making that effort, we wouldn't have this film and I wouldn't have this job, and I just want to thank everyone. And I looked up to him so much for doing that, because so many times when people want to be an extra on a movie, they get treated so bad and so mean, and as though they don't exist, or they're not important enough. And so it was very humbling to watch that.
Boy, that's great. In our closing moments together, and it's amazing how past and fast these interviews get. I would like our friends and our fans and our viewers and our listeners to know where to reach you and to follow all these things and endeavors and great efforts that you're making, the TV show and your acting and your red carpet reporting. How do they do that, Joy?
They can find me at joyeMorris, MORRIS.com. They can also find the show at CelebrityInMe.com. You can also find it on Facebook as Celebrity in Me.
Great. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for your kindness in appearing with us tonight. We, of course, wish you all of the best and hope it's warmer and nicer where you're at than we are. We're kind of hitting that starting to be cold and leaves down and things like that. It doesn't know if it wants to be summer or winter just yet, but pretty soon it's going to decide to be winter. So, I like the warmer weather. But thank you so much and all of the best as always.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys, and have a great evening.
Okay. Thank you, my dear. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
And that was Joy E. Morris. We're going to look for great things in her career. We're going to be coming right back. You think Sunday night's debate was something? I'm going to show you some old ones that'll curl your hair. If you still got it, we'll be right back after this.